actually have three terms in our system. We have radar, we have ping, and we have scanning. Radar is, in a sense, your passive detection. That is, I'm flying around, things pop up on my radar and I can see them. Then you have ping, where you have to physically hit a button, basically pulsates a ping out into the world, and I can see things much further out. Scanning is the layer where once you see an object, you can scan it and retrieve information on it. What I like about the current implementation of radar is the dynamic signatures. They fluctuate in and out depending upon what you're doing. And because of that, you could actually go into your UI and see your IR and EM fluctuate. That flexibility is really cool because you could turn on and off stuff, and that changes your signature and your strength and how far someone can see you.
Something we don't like is the absence of any information about how well you're detectable by either other players or AI at the moment.
For the current implementation of the scanner, it's really awesome to be able to scan ships right now and see if they have any cargo. Especially with the law system, we could determine if they have any illegal cargo. It opens up immersion gameplay where I could fly around, scan some things, and go, oh, that guy has some illegal things. Should I be nefarious and try to steal them, or should I try to shoot him and give him a warning?
We want to improve the ping system so that it gives you like a rough idea of, hey, there might be some ships, maybe some bounties that you might want to go after. And because we'll give you that info at a further distance, it really allows you to make some, gives player agency and allows you to determine whether you want to even investigate it or not, or want to look in a different direction.
So that's kind of how our existing system works. There's things that we really, really like, and of course there's things that we want to improve on and even flesh out even further. And that's exactly where this new work comes into play. With the new radar, we've tweaked how things get detected, so it's no longer two spheres colliding. It's just, to put it simply, if your signature is overlapping with somebody, they're going to see you.
One thing we want to improve is to make sure that we get proper player feedback, so you know that if you're in a very high ambient signature area, like a gas cloud, you could be hidden, and therefore make better use of the spaces that we provide in the universe that we created.
Sean Tracy liked the idea of, if you have a bunch of capital ships and a couple frigates, that maybe you can't see some of those smaller ships. What happens if we had that moment where you could have some ships hide within the bigger ships? So when you're far away, you're like, okay, there's an Idris, maybe I could take it out. You get a little bit closer, you realize that there's a whole fleet. So it's going with that balance of how do we hide things and how do we show things so that we could get big amazing moments and even stealth gameplay.
So with scanning, we want to increase the granularity of the information you get from scanning. So pilot the other players or AI that are going to be on the ship, what type of armament it has, what it's carrying in its cargo.
Going back to that other example with the Idris, with a bunch of ships out there, you can scan it and go, I know that's a ship. What ship is it? I scan from afar and go, oh, it's an Idris. Cool. I don't see anybody else because I have to get closer. You get closer and you start seeing other contacts pop up.
You can take a deeper dive into what the contents of that ship are.
So before you're too far back and you're like, okay, that's an Idris. Now you're close up and you go, oh, that's an Idris with a gigantic Gatling gun that shoots auroras. Doesn't exist, but I like to pretend it does. Also, we want to expose more interesting information. We want to let you know that there's a wanted person on board. We want to let you know that maybe there's some volatile cargo on board. We want to let you know that there's something interesting relative to your specialization of the ship. It also unlocks more stuff for the designers to say, this type of scanner is going to be more for medical use. This type of scanner is going to be more for criminality or something like that.
What we're doing with Ping is, for the first time, we're going to actually allow you to not only get the blob information, which gives you the rough direction and size of the entities that may be contained within the blob. So it gives you a rough area of where you might want to investigate. But if the signatures are high enough, then you can actually scan the contents of that blob, which is something we weren't able to do before.
You won't see a lot of these things happen all at the same time. It opens up the doors so that we could push things in through patches and through waves.
What we're looking for is a fun player experience for finding things. Ultimately, players want to be able to look out in the vastness of space and then determine, hey, this is something interesting that I want to do. And this is the direction I need to go experience that fun thing. That's what we're working toward.
As part of our road to Invictus, this brief primer on the future of radar and scanning demonstrates an essential component in creating a dynamic and engaging sense of exploration and danger for spacecraft in the persistent universe and Squadron 42 alike. And we're going to learn more about how it all works tomorrow on Star Citizen Live when Sean Tracy and members of the vehicle tech team join us to answer your questions live. But up next, it's that time. Let's jump into another sprint report. Up first, let's take a look at some recent progress on hospitals, starting with these myriad hospital props like tables for the waiting area and medical trolleys you can expect to see rolling through the hallways. There was even a recent concept for this high-tech gurney, and when I think about the push-pull possibilities here, it reminds me of the first time I was kicked out of a hospital. And the second. The team also progressed on the gray box for New Babbage's emergency drop-off hangar, which needs to be cleaned up a little bit. One of the various medical rooms. The exterior vistas outside the windows. And then dropping in some placeholder signage as guides for other artists when it comes time to really dress this place up. In addition to the first pass signage, first pass greenery has begun, and the thinking is already that we need much more verticality with the plants, so they'll be trying that next. There's also a look at the gray box nurses station in the ward area. The team is currently thinking that this will be the first area taken to final art so that it serves as visual guidance for the remaining sections of Brentworth Hospital. Orison General is also coming to the end of Graybox with this look at the lobby, assurance booths, and other areas we're gonna let you discover for yourself. When Orison General here enters final art, we expect to see much more of the glass and special lighting effects you saw in our look at the commercial platform arcade last quarter. Heading now to outer space, some of our spacescaping artists created some early warm-up tests for the creation of gas clouds that will encompass the jump point from Stanton to Pyro. Beginning with the work already created for CitizenCon 2949, it needed to be updated with all the new technical advancements made since then and better extrapolated out into three-dimensional space so that it can be approached from any direction. We've not quite got back that beautiful butterfly shape we had, but we'll be checking in again later as it further progresses. Those who have already jumped into Alpha 3.13.1, currently available in the public test universe, know that ship-to-station docking is coming along with Invictus launch week later this month. And here you can see some of the final lighting passes being done for the various rest stop and security station docking areas. Now, I haven't seen this yet, so I'm just gonna watch along with you. Ooh, that's cool. Oh. Hell yeah. Following up on some of the armor concepts we saw last week, here's a look at the high-heat refinery worker that's currently making its way through the character pipeline. The text branding you're seeing here is modular, so it can represent any company that's appropriate for the location at hand. As is the helmet, with multiple variations to add variety to the NPCs milling about. And because it was important not to have any exposed skin in an environment as hot as this, there's also a neat way to access the Mobiglass so they can still check their messages when needed. And last week, subscribers got their first look at new armor from Tehachapi. a brand new small-scale manufacturer that has burst onto the scene and begun taking the markets by storm. Now you can learn more about this new manufacturer and their offerings in the latest edition of Jump Point magazine. Finally, let's take another look at the habitation platform of Orisonu, the upcoming landing zone for the gas giant Crusader. We definitely want to preserve the full reveal of everything that makes up this amazing landing zone for when you first visit it in-game. I think we can maybe share this brief sprint on updating the cypress trees that will find their way throughout the platform. And finally, back to the hab rooms themselves, a much requested feature. Many of the rooms come with windows to the outside world. So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the next evolution of radar and scanning aims to put systemic tools in the hands of our designers to enable the exploration and discovery of more than just spacecraft and vehicles. That hospitals are still the harbinger of new medical gameplay scheduled to come online in Alpha 3.14. And that before all that happens, we're on the road to Invictus with the upcoming edition of ship-to-station docking and all the potential that brings. Here, there might even be a capital-sized tour coming? Check out the schedule on the RSI website if you haven't already. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckaby. We'll see you all next week.